Masipotise babukeli, welcome to this week's edition of YilungeloLakho, It's Your Right. Simphathela lenkubo apha ku SABC 1 Mzansi for sure, and hoping you all had a refreshing festive holiday. Igama lami kalungu Sisanda Jonas, ekambeni kwethuba ke kule nkubo sizakunivulela iminxeba ukuba nani nivakalise ezenu izimvo. Inombolo zethu zithi 011-714-6918 okanye ku 011-714-6919. Ungasithumelela ne-email ku consumer@sabc.co.za okanye ungasifumana ku Facebook or Twitter. Just over a month after the controversial e-tolling came into effect, motorists have expressed anger and frustration at the South African National Roads Agency's billing system, which many have described as nothing but chaotic. Reports of incorrect billing, a lack of transparency, unfairness and legal threats have become all too common since the multi-billion rand road improvement project was implemented. But the road agency, SANRAL, believes that the challenges are just teething problems.
Izinkinga zama e-toll lapha eGauteng zaqala ngaphambi kokuba avule ngokusemthethweni amasango akhokhelwayo. Umphakathi kanye namaqembu afaka izincindezi baveza izikhalazo zabo zokungahambiselani ngama e-toll zisasuka nje. Lokho kwalandelwa imibhikisho eyaze yadala lolu daba ukuthi lubuye ezinkantolo. Njengoba inkantolo yahambiselana nama e-toll, kwabukeka sengathi abangahambiselani nawo baphelelwa amandla. Kodwa izinxushunxushu ezikhona selokhu eqalile ukusebenza lamasango, izinhlangano ezifaka izincindezi seziqale phansi ngezikhalazo zabo. Abanye bachaza indlela esebenza ngayo e-toll ngento engahambi emgqeni.
Amongst all the 700 or so complaints that we've received, there are plenty of people who have bought e-tags who are getting frustrated and annoyed. They can't top up their accounts on a pay-as-you-go basis. They are finding that the money disappears out of their accounts, and they get double billed for it. They get their car plus their trailer, billed. So all sorts of inconsistencies, which of course SANRAL says will phone the call centre or go into the customer centre, and then there's more frustration because of bottlenecks and so many people complaining about it. Now, we can understand that this has been over the Christmas period where things haven't been busy. From now on, as schools go back, I think that we are seeing that the whole e-tolling system is headed for a rather sad fiasco and something which is unsustainable, and people are resenting it enormously, and that we're really hoping that SANRAL will basically recognize this, and that the Minister of Transport would say, look, let's sit down and find a better way forward, because this is just simply not working.
Amasonto namasonto elandelana abezindaba sebethole izikhalazo eziningi ezivela kubashayeli abathukuthele begana unwabu. Bakhala ngokuthi bathola izitatimende bengakaze bendlule kulamasango. Abanye bathola ama-SMS ngemininingwane engeyona yezimoto zabo. Abanye bathi abanazo nokuba nazo izimoto. Laba ababuza ngalezi zitatimende sebezithole sebesenkingeni yokuveza isiqiniseko sokuthi abakazi bawusebenzisa umgwaqo othela wayeka. Nangoba iCentral ithi baningi abashayeli abathenge ama e-tag, kodwa abanye abashayeli bathengiswa ukuthi abafuni ukuzithola sebesenkingeni.
Personally, except the fact that I have to pump money that I have never budgeted for, I've never had a problem because I've got an e-tag. I just don't like the system, but I have no choice.
I'm registering for e-toll because they are dura. Go N3 ne kunama e-toll I2 moye Foslo I2 mawubuya, so it's too much for one person in one day.
E-toll yona nje for so long right, and ayiduli kakhulu ngoba ke akuphinde singayenza. Mina amabhizi wami so far so good nje right, because nami kodwa ngiyabaleka ke ngoqina ngikwazi uhamba nge-freeway all along most of the times, kodwa ke so far so good.
Sekube nemibiko yokuthi iCentral ibanqumela ugwayi kadiki laba abangakhokhi ngendlela. Kubikwa ukuthi le nhlangano yomgwaqo izobadlulisela kubantu abaqoqa izikweletu uma abashayeli bengakhokhi ngesikhathi. Njengoba bekunemibuzo yokuthi ama e-toll ayintando yeningi na kulabo abangahambiselani nabo, izinxushunxushu abanazo sezidala ukuthi abashayeli benyuse amaphapho futhi. aba-the consumer rights bodies kanye ne-NCC sebebambene ngezandla ekutheni bedingide le nkinga yezikhalazo zama-e-toll. Ukuthi-ke lokhu kuyoba nemiphumela ezobagcwelisa na abashayeli, yilokho uwonke alinde ukubona. Unompumelelo Mthethwa, YilungeloLakho, eGoli.
All right, and thanks for that background story from our producer Nompumelelo Mthethwa. Ukuncokola ke ngokubanzi ngombandela we-e-tolls oChisibunzi. Masamkela indwendwe zethu. Let's extend a warm welcome to Howard Dembowski, yena ke ongusihlalo wePhulo Justice Project South Africa. Sibenaye ke noCornelia van Niekerk, yena onenkampani ekhupha i-fines zezithuthi. We are also pleased to welcome Phumeza Mlungu, yena ke ovela kwikomishoni ejongene namalungelo abathengi, National Consumer Commission. Kumagumbi ethu osasazo ePitoli masamkele ke uThami Bolani ongusihlalo we-the Consumer Fair. We also invited SANRAL spokesperson Vusi Mona to be part of this discussion, but he unfortunately could not find the time to be here. Welcome to YilungeloLakho. Obviously, this is quite a big topic. It's not new, but there are things that we still need to talk about. I'll start off with you, Howard. And according to SANRAL E-tolling, when it came into effect, you know, it had very few glitches, but that's something we cannot say now. I mean, there has been a lot of complaints. Just take us through whether this came as a surprise to you.
Well, it certainly didn't come as a surprise. However, I think we need to bear in mind that SANRAL did say to the Constitutional Court in August 2012 that we can go live in 2 weeks and everything's going to run smoothly. So I don't know what one would call that, but it certainly hasn't been a smooth process. Citizens and road users have not understood the process. It's very clear that they don't understand the process because the kind of complaints that are coming in are quite clear that it's because they don't understand the process, they've been misled, they've been told that this is a very cheap way of funding our roads, and it's the best way and it's not going to impact on your pockets and all that kind of stuff. And we've been told 83% of road users will pay less than 100 Rand a month, and all of a sudden they're getting SMSs and phone calls and emails telling them that they owe thousands of rands, and the net result of that is it shows that this has not gone smoothly. And you know, let's just have a look at what happened the other day when an envelope with white powder was delivered to SANRAL's offices, which I think, quite frankly, you know, we've condemned this, was a very stupid thing of whoever did it to do, and it borders on terrorism. But the fact is that shut down their process for the entire day. So so much for smooth running, isn't it?
All right, Cornelia, you are from Fines for You. Firstly, just tell us what you do, and I know you've brought gifts for us, all right, but you'll tell us more about what this is about.
Yes, I'll tell you. Fines for You is a company that manages traffic fines for individuals, but mainly for big companies. There's a lot of people that receive fines, and we do not say, yes, go and speed, and we will sort out the fines. No, we say, if you do get fines, we will manage your traffic fine. We will see if it is correct. We will see if we can get reduction. We will do the payment for you, because a lot of the people don't know where to pay the fines. And we will make sure that your guys are not arrested. And that is what we do.
All right.
We do have more than 400 companies that we deal with, and more than 7,000 individuals that has come to us over the past 6 years to help them with traffic fines.
All right, so this is no surprise that people are coming to you now. With regards to the topic today, what is this about?
No, the funny thing is that these people did not come to me.
Oh.
I receive their bills to my address. I received bills for a company that made use of my services more than 4 years ago. I don't know what their contact details is anymore. I don't know who's the people that are working with their fines or that are working with the e-tolls. But they came to me. So they don't know what is outstanding. But if they can only know what is outstanding if they go to a SANRAL office or outlet and inquire what is outstanding.
So what are you going to do with these parcels now?
I'm definitely not going to deliver them to my clients. That is not my, that is not, and I think that's maybe what they want me to do, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to return them to SANRAL and say, sorry, I am not Kia Motors. I am not Mr. Pretorius living at the address that they've used, my personal home address that they've used.
All right. Mr. Domovsky, we also hearing stories of people who are not even in this region who are also getting these SMSs.
Yes, we are. And look, some of it can be put down to incorrect details on the notice. I think when we hear of SMSs being sent to a 10-year-old child, we all understand that a 10-year-old child is not capable of taking a cell phone contract, so it's quite possible that that could happen. But when we hear of motorists who live in Jeffreys Bay, for example, and receive an SMS demanding money and payment from SANRAL, and it is their number plate, and they haven't been out of Jeffreys Bay because they're an old age pensioner, and they haven't been out of Jeffreys Bay in the last 4 years, then there's a problem. And that problem comes down to a very simple problem that we know to be fact in Gauteng in particular, but throughout South Africa, and that's the matter of false and cloned number plates. So we warned SANRAL about this, and they poo-pooed us, and they said, our technology is so super duper, and it's so 29th century, never mind even 21st century, that we are able to take these little photographs here, because we take 3 of them, and from that construct a 3D model, and that way identify that a vehicle has false number plates. Well, their science fact is in fact science fiction, otherwise people would not be getting these SMSs and these bills, would they?
It's unfortunate that SANRAL is not here to talk to us as well, to answer to these things, because we would have loved to have them here to answer to these things.
Yes.
Pumaza, let me come to you, Mbuze, bana nani niyazifumana ezi zikhalazo abantu bathini?
So far sifumana izikhalazo ezimbini ne-enquiries ezi-4, which makes it about 6 with regards to indaba ye-e-toll. So basically abantu bathetha okokuqala basibuza into about how do they complain about SANRAL and to SANRAL. Okwesibini babuza ukuba the issue ye-incorrect billing, uyabona, ngoba bafumana i-SMSs ne-invoice engathethi, i-SMS plus ne-invoices azidibana zithethi, plus ne-problem yokuthi systems zingathi zihlala zi-down SANRAL. So those are the 3 issues, but it was very, very, very few. 2 that were legitimate complaints, because ezinye ezi-4 it was just inquiries.
Kodwa ke nakwazi as a commission nibe nenzi announcement echaza ukuba ningakwazi ubanceda abantu, but nakhona anizokwazi ukunceda kuyo yonke into.
Kunjalo sisanda sizawuzama kakhulu, because ngoku process esinayo in place is that we always have to hear both sides of the story. So into esiyenzile ngesibe sesizifumene sesizithumele kwa-SANRAL, sathi kubo sicela baphendule, uyabona batsho icala labo le-story, kwenza into yoba nathi sikwazi ukuthi xa sifikelela kwisigqibo at least sibe khona sive amacala omabini sikwazi ubhalansisa.
Epitoli ke sinaye uThami Bolani. Wena uThami uphuma kwi-consumer fair, ndiyafuna ubuza nakuwe into yokubana izikhalazo endizifumanayo zithini na?
Cishe ukuthi izikhalazo siyitholayo ziyafana nalezo okukhulunywa ngazo studio njengamanje. Abantu baye basifonele basithumele ama-emails, and then isikhathi esiningi sibarefera kuyona i-National Consumer Commission, ngoba phela i-agency iya-establishwa i-DTI ukuthi isize ama-consumers aney'nkinga. Kodwa-ke kunama-problems awu-2 akhona njengamanje siwabonayo. I-problem yokuqala i-issue ye-fair and transparent billing, ukuthi abantu bakhala ngokuthi abathola ama-statements, bathola ama-SMS ukuthi-ke abakhokhe le mali ekufanele bayikhokhe, kanti abazi ukuthi-ke i-SANRAL ifike kanjani kulawo ma-figures. Uthola ukuthi umuntu uney'moto eziwu-3 mhlawumbe ubethenge i-tag eyodwa, kodwa usethola-ke i-SMS ethi ayikhokhele enye imoto, mhlawumbe leyo moto ayikaze ingene emgwaqweni ngoba ilimele for the past 12 months or so. So kunama-problems amaningi, and uthola ukuthi-ke abantu mabezama ukwasolva lama-problems awasolveki ngoba nakhona iSANRAL ayikayidevelop isystem yokusolva ama-consumer problems ngendlela efanele. Uthola ukuthi abantu bayasebenza Monday to Friday nesikhathi siwe kwaSANRAL abasithole. So a major problem ngendlela thina sibona ngayo ukuthi one kufanele kusolveke indaba ye-billing ukuthi ibe fair, ibe transparent to consumers. Number two, kufanele kube khona a proper consumer handling service so that uma abantu benama problems, lama problems bakwazi ukubasolva as soon as possible ngaphandle kokukhokha imali eningi.
All right, okwangoku ke make sijikele evenkileni, but before we do that, let me remind you that you can also take part on the show by calling us on 011-714-6919 okanye ku-714-6918. You can also email your views to consumer@sabc.co.za or visit our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter. Samkela kwakhona babukeli sisancokola nge-e-tolls. To take part, please call us on 011-714-6919 or 714-6918. Email us to consumer@sabc.co.za okanye ungasifumana ku-Facebook okanye ke ku-Twitter. Nanzi iyalezo yenu apha ku-Facebook. Umaqhinga Mthoka Qoshakathi, I hope I'm saying that right, Tabete uthi lento vele yayifakelwe ukucindezela abantu abamnyama nabadonsa kanzima. Comfort Luvelweni, if some of the owners were not cowed as they did by registering, e-toll was not going to be implemented, so the people are always afraid. You see, e-toll is going to make the lives of the motorists unenjoyable. I do want to say, when you do send us those messages, please make sure that you spell out all the words and just proofread so that it's easier for us to read as well. But thank you very much for your messages. Let me go back to some of these complaints, whether what you are getting out of it is whether, Howard, people are not understanding how the process should work.
Well, they most certainly don't. The fact is, if you, I'm going to give you an analogy here. If you go to Pick and Pay and you see the shelf price is R5.99, okay, and you put that into your trolley and you do your shopping, etc., etc., and then you get to the till and they ring it all up and they say, no, you must pay 3 times more because you haven't got a Smart Shopper card. That, in essence, is what's going to give rise to you going, what? Are you completely mad? And that is, in essence, what has been done to South Africans. Because if you go and drive upon our freeways, and by the way, freeway is a wrong word for this, but anyway, if you go and drive upon those freeways, you will see the standard tariff and you will see the e-toll tariff, the e-tag tariff. You will not see the alternate user tariff, which is in fact 3 times higher than the standard tariff. And therefore, SANRAL has, in my opinion, grossly misled the public because they expect people to download and carry a government gazette in their vehicles. I think that's a totally ridiculous thing, to be very honest with you. If that happened to you with Pick and Pay or Checkers or anybody else, there would be an outcry. But because it's SANRAL, it's okay, because they can actually break the law because they are very good at breaking the law.
I mean, obviously, we hear these concerns, and you've gone to court, and all of these things.
No, we haven't gone to court.
But there have been cases that have gone to court. But I'm just saying. And this is before they implemented. But what I'm trying to say is you obviously have these concerns, you obviously have these challenges with the system, you obviously know that something is wrong, but why is it that we cannot win this one?
Well, let's actually look at the entire history of this thing and understand it from scratch. Had we implemented a fuel levy, which is very easy to ring fence, despite what's said by Treasury, because if it wasn't easy to ring fence, then the Road Accident Fund hasn't been paying claims to people because they are funded solely by the fuel levy. If we'd gone and made it simple and put in a fuel levy of 14 cents per litre, we would have paid for this already. That's the first thing. It's easy to administer. You don't cause an administrative burden on the road users themselves. Because if you simply go ahead and pay your e-toll bills without checking each and every transaction is in fact your vehicle passing under there, then quite frankly, you deserve to actually get screwed over because unfortunately, we have this fact and we keep on coming back to it. It's an acknowledged fact that false and cloned number plates are a massive problem. And we're not going to get away with this, e-tag or no e-tag. We've got examples of road users who registered 2 years prior to the implementation of e-tolls. They've got e-tags in their vehicles, and they are getting billed for vehicles bearing false plates, and they're getting billed at the alternate user rate. And the effect of that is it immediately disposes of their cap. And this is the other thing that hasn't been explained to people properly. The cap for a motorcycle is 250 Rand a month. The cap for a motor car is 450 Rand a month. The cap for a heavy goods vehicle is 1,750 Rand a month. And the cap for an extra heavy goods vehicle is 3,500 Rand a month. And that's why people see these bills and it says 19,000 Rand and they say, what happened to the cap of 450 Rand? Because this is what's been sold to everybody. It's cheap. It's going to cost you 450 Rand a month. Well, to be very honest with you, 450 Rand a month, to me as a single guy, represents over a week's worth of groceries. It's not cheap.
Sinengxaki sisiphumeza. Sinengxaki abantu bayakhala as i-NCC. Ndiyayazi besesithethile into yokubana nizawukwazi ubanceda but izawuba khona indawo engakwazi ufikelela kuzo but nibathembisa ntoni?
Mina ndiyava abantu bayakhala, but as far as NCC is concerned, if I can't bale in writing and then if it's not a complaint, a legitimate complaint that came to the NCC, we can't follow up on it. Ndicela abantu bazifake complaints abanazo ukwenzela into yoba sincedisane nabo, sincedisane no-SANRAL to come to some kind of solution ngayo yonke the problem that seems to be.
Masizama ubanceda ubana bayenza njani lento xa benifonela nini NCC?
Uyasifonela NCC ngu-012 761 3400. Ufake a complaint and then ikhona form that they will send to you uyifilishe and then ubhale zonke story sakho and then someone will contact you akunike i-reference number and then we'll take it from there.
All right, sinaye uThandi from Sandton. Thandi, wamkelekile enkqubeni?
Njani sisi?
Ngiyaphila sisi, kunjani?
Ngiyaphila. Cha mina ngizozama ukucomplaina ngama-system akhona kwi-SANRAL ngoba thina sike sahamba siyoyithenga ilokhuzane i-toll khona le e-Albertine. Yathatha isikhathi eside sisalindile, sathatha boma 4 hours. Ngekho kwabantu abasebenza khona into ababezoyenza ngoba kushuthi kwakuyi-system engasebenzi fast, so nababe khona ngaphambilini bona babesethe sebemi isikhathi eside. Okunye ngizocela ukukubuza, uma ungayifakanga le ilokhuzana ngicabanga ukuthi le ithola phambili emotweni kwi-screen sakho kuzokwenzakalani uma ungakayifaki nje uma usunayo?
Ngicela uphinde umbuzo wakho.
Ngicela ukubuza ukuthi uma ungakayifaki ake ngithi uyithengile awukayifaki le ngicabanga ukuthi kokusenza ngathi ungakakufaka emotweni kuzokwenzakalani ngoba besingakakufaki thina.
Oh, all right. Enkosi kakhulu ke mama. Enkosi for your call. Thandi is from Sandton and she's basically saying that they've bought the e-tag, but they haven't put it, they haven't installed it in their car. What's going to happen to them? I know some of these questions SANRAL was supposed to be able to answer to those, but maybe let's just try to help it out.
Well, it's very simple. If you've bought an e-tag and you haven't registered and you haven't put it in your vehicle, you may as well not even have it. It may as well still be on the shelf. If you have purchased it, you need to register it in order to qualify for the cap and in order to qualify for the discount. And in order to register it, you need to do one of two things. You need to operate a prepaid account wherein you actually pay into SANRAL's account in advance sums of money, or you need to provide them with banking or credit card details for them to automatically debit you. Now, I'm not being funny when I say this. SANRAL's website has already been hacked. Please don't be stupid. Do not give them your banking details because you have no control. A prepaid account, at least you have control over that. So you can put prepaid amounts into that. But if you then subsequently are registered and you have an e-tag and it malfunctions in your vehicle or it is not in your vehicle, then your cap is gone and your rate reverts to the alternate user rate.
But if you prove that it was malfunctioning?
Sorry, how are you going to prove that? How are you going to prove that? But I will give you one specific example of a heavy goods transporter who got e-tags 2 years ago, put it into all of his trucks. He then went off merrily from the 3rd of December, driving on the freeways, thinking it's getting deducted each time they're driving. On a single trip of passing through 7 gantries. Gantry 1 picks it up, Gantry 2 picks it up, Gantry 3 doesn't. Gantry 4 picks it up, Gantry 5 doesn't pick it up, Gantry 6, Gantry 7 does. Now, one would say, okay, perhaps there was a problem with those gantries. But if you look at the history, this is happening at random gantries. And it's pretty much like the very funny Trevor Noah latest skit, where he's talking about someone at Checkers scanning the goods as they're coming through, and it's going blip, 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 and then it's, oh dear, it's not picking it up. It's pretty much the same kind of thing that's actually happening.
All right, let's just hold it there for now. Please join us after this. Welcome back. You're still watching YilungeloLakho. It's Your Right coming to you live on SABC 1 Mzansi for sure. We're still talking about the controversial e-tolling. That's a major discomfort for many consumers. But I mean, siyabona, but there's a problem with this billing system and kwayixakekisa abathengi. Kufuneka benze ntoni ngeli xesha?
Bisho ukuthi ngaphambi ukuthi abantu bahambe bo-aplayela i-account kufanele ba-understand ukuthi umthetho usebenza kanjani, bawu-understande kahle ngaphambi ukuthi-ke bahambe bo-aplaya, because uma bengawu-understandi bangayithola sebelahlekelwa-ke imali eningi. Ingakho kufanele ukuthi abantu bawazi lo mthetho. Uma bengawazi bathintane nama-organisation angakwazi ukuthi abasize, abanikeze information. Usathola ukuthi namanje abantu abaningi abazi ukuthi, for instance, unalo ilungelo lokuthi ungabi nayo i-e-tag. Umthetho awusho ukuthi-ke uma ungayithenganga-ke i-e-tag kusho ukuthi usuwenze-ke icala. Kanti nje kade sekushiwo lapha e-studio ngaphambilini, uyakwazi ukuthi uvule i-account, babambe imali kwi-account yakho, or uthenge-ke prepaid. So ukuze abathengi bakwazi ukuthatha the right decision uma bovula lezi zinto, kufanele ukuthi babe nayo information ephelele. Uma benayo information ephelele bazokwazi ukuthi-ke bathathe the correct decision, bakwazi ukuthi bayidefend leyo decision ngaso sonke-ke isikhathi. Kunama-organisation kakhona ngabasiza abantu njengayi-NCC, njengo-NCR, njenge-organisation ye-Council of Debt Collectors. Engicabanga ukuthi-ke kule nkinga esikhuluma ngayo namhlanje kufanele lawo ma-organizations wonke abe involved ukuze akwazi ukuthi-ke asize ama-consumers.
But I mean, in fact, kukho into ethi ngoku abantu baye bazibona besematyaleni kuba bengakwazi ukubhatala lamatyala aphuma kwezi e-tolls.
Yayi lento engisho ukuthi, for instance, organization efana ne-NCR kufanele ukuthi si-involve ngoba siyazi ukuthi-ke i-regulator nezinto zama-credit bureaus. If abantu sebe-blacklist ngokuthi-ke abayikhokheli izinto zama-e-tolls, kufanele ukuthi ama-complaints wabo bayise-ke ku-National Credit Regulator ukuze-ke ikwazi ukubasiza. Akulona iqiniso ukuthi-ke i-National Credit Regulator ayinayo i-jurisdiction kulezi zinto ngoba kukhona izinto zama-blacklisting. Uma abantu sebejahwa ama-debt collectors kufanele bathintane ne-Council of Debt Collectors esishilo ukuthi izimisele ukuthi size abathengi abasenkingeni. Kodwa-ke ukey to all these things ukuthi abantu kufanele ukuthi bayithole information right ngaso sonke isikhathi.
Phumeza, xa ndifuna ndibuyela kuwe phambi kokuba ezi e-tolls zibe ziya-implementwa niye nathetha ne-SANRAL kuba beningavumelani nee-terms and conditions ebezikhona, naye navumelana entweni na? Kungoku njena, are you happy ngendlela eyenzeka ngayo le nto?
To respond to your question, Sanda, I want to highlight, I think it was around 2012 when we received a complaint. There was a complaint about the terms and conditions, and then there was an apparent misalignment between the terms and conditions, e-toll, and the Consumer Protection Act. So as SANRAL and NCC, we came around the table and we sat down and we went line by line with terms and conditions zakhona sizama ukuba sibekho alignment between the provisions of the act kunye ne terms and conditions. At the end of the discussion yethu, we had come to an agreement and we were satisfied as NCC ukuthi noko sihambile umgama omninzi, at least siphako 90% in terms of compliance with the legislation, except for i-clauses ezazawufuna legislative amendment ngelo xesha. And ngingatsho ngokundithi i-terms and conditions as we had discussed and had agreed, because khange ndiphinde ndizibone andifuna uphosisa, but izinto eziphumayo ebantwini sengathi zi-issues ze-system uyabona engeka be up and running kakuhle. Uyandiva uba nditsho kanjani. Umzekelo we-some of the issues apho SANRAL National Consumer Commission agreed on, for instance, i-issue yendaba ye-sales record. There's Section 26 we-Consumer Protection Act uthi i-consumer nganye should be given a sales record of a transaction so that nabe be comfortable with the payments for a service rendered. I understand. So ngoku but into endiyifumanisayo ngoku abantu abaninzi bakhona izikhalazo ezithetha ngokuthi no khange bayifumane lenantsika, whereas ngela xesha sasidiscussile kwakukhona i-provision yayi-city at least within 15 days abantu will be given inantsika. Abantu aba-registered as consumers as registers for e-toll zizawufumana i-statement esichazayo ukuthi uhambe waya apha upasa this gantry and that gantry and this is how much it cost you. So I think most of complaints zabantu, if SANRAL angasota out landaba yenantsika esa statement, abantu will be more than willing and understanding ukuthi kanye how did the bills come to be what they are as the people get them.
Another important question I think people have been asking themselves, should I pay attention to the SMS or just wait for my invoice? Howard?
Okay, I think let's just carry on from there and then we'll get to that very, very quickly. The fact is, if you haven't gotten e-tag and you haven't signed these terms and conditions, you have not assented to them. Okay. That's the first thing. Okay. Therefore, the protection that SANRAL is afforded by their terms and conditions don't apply. And if you have a look at that, what SANRAL effectively gets you to do is sign away all liability for losses that you incur. And that's in their terms and conditions. Okay, so that's how they comply with the Consumer Protection Act. Okay, now the majority of people who are getting these SMSs and these things in the post and the emails, etc., are people who are not registered. They have therefore not signed away their rights under the terms and conditions laid out by SANRAL. Now, those people, when those SMSs are sent to them, what SANRAL has said is this is a standard business process that we are entering into. It's a debt collection process. Well, there they've made a big mistake, because in terms of the Transport and Related Matters Amendment Act, SANRAL is exempt from the National Credit Act. So therefore, the National Credit Regulator has nothing to do with this at all. Okay, those SMSs are actually quite ominous in the way that they're worded, so quite frankly, ignore them. It is SANRAL's responsibility within 32 days after the expiry of 7 days to send you an invoice, and on that invoice it must bear the details of what you are allegedly owe and the discount which is applicable. Because in terms of the way that this process works, SANRAL has to comply with the law it expects other people to comply with.
All right. Cornelia, after the break, we'll talk about, because you're sitting with this problem now, and I want to find out whether you took whether you took the matter forward and whether you are getting any responses. But that's just after the break. Let's now take another commercial break. Please join us after this. Siphinde sinamkele kwakhona babukeli siqhubeke ngencoko yethu nge-e-tolls ukuthabatha inxaxheba sitsalela unxeba kwinombolo zethu apha studio. That's 0117146918 okanye ke ku-0117146919. Cornelia, let me come back to you. I mean, we've touched on these bills that are coming to your doorstep. Have you taken the matter forward, and what kind of response are you getting?
We haven't taken the matter forward on the post coming to my house. We started when they started to contact me around the second week in December, they sent out SMSs, hundreds of them. They sent out more than 300 mails to me in person. They phoned me more than 30 times per day telling me I need to pay outstanding e-toll monies. The funny thing is that I do not have one car registered in my name. Oh no, sorry, I do have. I have one trailer registered to my name that hasn't gone through the gantries. All the vehicles are registered on my husband's name. So all the post that I'm getting is also not addressed to me as a person. It is addressed to my clients. But so you will get Mr. Pretorius with my address on it. So first of all, I don't know what Mr. Pretorius. I do have about 100 Mr. Pretoriuses on my clients, for clients on my books. They're not getting their invoices, so they don't know what is outstanding. They think, oh, okay, I'm not getting anything, so I'm not going to pay because they haven't sent me anything. In the meantime, I'm sitting with it. Now, I cannot go and deliver all these invoices to my clients. I must just give them back to SANRAL and say, please go and check on eNotice what is the correct address there where you are supposed to send it to. So this is half of what I receive per day. I've got more than 1,000, more than 2,000 envelopes at my house that I must still take back to SANRAL and say, please go and deliver them to the right people.
We do have a caller, and Mduduzi from KwaZulu-Natal. Mduduzi, wamkelekile nkubeni? Mduduzi ukhona? Mduduzi ke akakho, but ke siyazifumana iimeseji zenu ku Facebook. uSipho ayikabi uthi kufanele uhulumeni akhulume nabe project yama e-toll ngoba lento izosusa umsindo kukhona abangakwenzile kahle. Inkinga efanayo neyokubanjwa kwezimali zegrant kubantu kuthiwe bathenge i-airtime bengayithenganga. uThabane Mashilo uthi, I wish you all the best to this problem of e-toll. May God help you to be able to determine this matter. Offensive Benson Mkhosi, developing countries cannot put systems of e-tolls. People still have no shelters. This is a disaster. Fistos says, where is the government of the people? And I think he's saying people shall govern when people are complaining and nothing is done about it. And Mutufela Simonogo would say, thank you for taking away the bread of the poor. My God, help those who benefit from that money and be richer. I see you, Howard, nodding, and at some point you were saying that one of the SMSs or messages, the listener there is correct to say that developing countries shouldn't be putting the systems at all.
Well, absolutely. We have other alternative, less impactful ways of actually bringing this infrastructure development about. We really do. And we have far more efficient systems. You know, let's also understand that one of the biggest objections that have been raised here is the fact that we are exporting, by SANRAL's claim, 17%, so 17 cents on every rand we are exporting directly out of South Africa to Austria. That's the first thing that we're doing. But it's actually not actually that low. It's 30 cents on each rand. Then there's all sorts of other inefficiencies. The people you get these and say, I'm not paying. Okay, so now you have to enter into another process. How much do you think it costs to print this wad of papers and send it to you? Okay, remember these are color. Okay, you have to print these things out. A color print is 58 cents a page, to give you an idea. And they're sending wads of these things out to people. They say it's going to have a minimal effect on the inflation rate. Really? Well, here's the minimal effect that you're talking about. A company with 44 vehicles has a minimum monthly exposure on e-tolls of 100,000 rand per month. That's 44 vehicles. What about the big fleets like the Imperial Logistics of this world who transport bread, Albany bread, etc., etc., milk, groceries to our shops? It's going to have an impact, and I'm sorry, but we are going to see a complete disaster come the next inflationary rates getting released, because You can't say this is not inflationary. It is inflationary, and it's very, very unfortunate. And, you know, we compare ourselves to Australia all the time. I can't understand this. The only similarity that South Africa shares with Australia is that we're both in the southern hemisphere.
All right, isinayo Maureen. I hope you're still on the line. Maureen, wamkelekile enkubeni.
Hello.
Hi, Maureen.
Yeah, I do have a question. The e-toll has been effective from the 3rd of December, right? Last year. But I received a bunch of statements from May, July, August, September, the invoices, so I don't understand.
All right, let's talk about that one. Thank you very much, Maureen.
Thank you.
Anything like that you've come across?
Okay, I would have liked to ask Maureen if she's a prepaid user, and the answer is that she probably is. She probably has a prepaid e-tag. Transactions during the period prior to actual go live were getting recorded, but there was no charge associated with it except for interest payable to those people who had prepaid accounts. However, we have recently been sent a bill where a person was charged for driving on our e-toll roads in September, and we're currently taking that matter forward with the South African Police Service because that's outright fraud. This was effective from the 3rd of December 2013. We're approaching 60 days now, actually. Okay, it's not just over a month so we're quite a long way down this process already. And you know, all this nonsense is coming out of the woodwork now. And the strangest thing is that SANRAL has continually chosen to portray this as it's a few minor glitches and only one or two people actually complaining. We're exaggerating. Now, you would believe that if you listen to the complaints that have been lodged with the National Consumer Commission. But, you know, 2 and 4, you know, that's nothing. But the reason for it is, unfortunately, people are trying to put food on their tables. They don't have the time to actually know this is how we go about lodging that complaint, etc., etc. Instead, what they do is they show their SMSs to their friends, they tweet it on social media, etc., etc. And we can't be so arrogant as to turn around and discard that and say, these people are not unhappy campers. They are unhappy campers. We just need to guide them through the process of how to get resolution to them.
All right, let's take our final ad break. Welcome back. We hope that now some of your questions have been answered and you have more information about the Gauteng e-tolling system. Just to come back to you, Butami. Howard earlier on touched on a very important point that lenkuba izochaphazela nje abantu abanemoto kodwa nabantu abangenazo imoto ngoba ukuzafumanisa nexabiso lokutya liyenyuka. Butami ukhona?
Yangikhona. Uma ubheka njengamanje uthola ukuthi abantu acisha abangu 10 million banama impaired credit records kuma credit bureaus. Uthola ukuthi iproblem ye-over indebtedness la eNingizimu Afrika inkulu kakhulu. Abantu abaningi baphila ngokuthenga ukudla ngokuboleka imali ezinye efana njengama payday loans. So uzathola ukuthi ke uma abantu sebezokhokha extra money ngama e-tolls, especially uma izoba inkulu kakhulu, uthola ukuthi lonke ngizokwenza ukuthi ama-numbers abantu abanama impaired credit records izonyuka, iproblem ye-over indebtedness izokhuphuka. Uzothola ukuthi abantu bazoshodela imali ukuthenga izinto ezibasic njengokudla. Siyabona ne-inflation ukudla ukuthi ke ikuma double digit figures. Ingakho thina ngokubona kwethu subona ukuthi ke ama-organizations afana njengo-NCC no-NCR namanye, because a-regulator zona lezi zinto esikhuluma ngazo zo-over indebtedness nezinye izinto kufanele ukuthi abe-involve eka-adviseni uhulumende ukuthi le problem lena kufanele ukuthi imanagwe kanjani ukuze i-impact kuma-consumers ingabi yimbi kakhulu njengoba sicabanga ukuthi izoba khona uma lento ingashintshwa. Akungabi nje indaba yokuthi imali ikoleka kanjani, but kufanele ukuthi ke impact especially on poor people izoba njani uma sifuna ukuthi lento igcine ke iyinhle isupportwe ke ngawo wonke ama-consumers eNingizimu Afrika.
Phumeza, you agree?
Ndifuna uvumelana noBhuthami ukuthi nathi sinoxanduva kwenza into ba like for instance I'd like to cite project A1 besike sayenza nathi kunyaka ophelileyo. It's called the affordability index that looks at exactly into ezinjena ukuthi whenever kukho increase in tariffs like into ezinjengemibane like for instance ngokunto ezinjenge introduction e-toll, how does it translate and how does it affect issues affordability on the normal man on the street. So namdi I support a lot ukuthi nathi funeka bengathi sinyusa igaws when it comes to issues.
How as we're wrapping up your last words on this subject?
Well, if you look at the attitude that's been brought forward by SANRAL, they've turned around and they've said, well, we don't care if you're under debt review, you pay your e-tolls, otherwise we're going to prosecute you. So in other words, these people that are under debt review are going to now get sequestrated on top of it. We predicted this. We absolutely predicted it, because if they miss a single payment and they're under debt review, their protection is gone. And those people then get sequestrated, they lose everything. Thank you very much. This is an irrational system. They should never have introduced it.
All right. Babukela bathandekayo sesifikelele ke esiphelweni senkqubo yethu yanamhlanje. Thank you very much to my studio guests for making the time to be on the show. Sibulele nani ke babukela emakhaya ngokuba nathi kude kube ngoku. Please join my co-presenter Alicia Jali next week for another live consumer topic of the week. Ukufumana impinda yenkqubo zethu ke masidibane apha ke ngemivulo ekuseni kusukela ke ku 9:30 kuya ku 10:30. From me, Sisanda Jonas and the entire team, it's goodbye. Nimene xesha elimnandi.
YilungeloLakho